The only sound inside the council chamber was the quiet, rhythmic pulse of life support systems. High Chancellor Sereth stood motionless before the enormous observation screen, watching fire swallow the orbital rings above Calera Station. The amber glow of burning metal caught in his wide, dark eyes as 3 centuries of civilization crumbled silently before him. "How many from the mining outposts?" Sereth asked, his voice flat, his back still turned. Physician General Auric moved forward from the cluster of advisors. His slate-gray skin had gone ashen with exhaustion. 19,000 wounded have been received at our care centers. We estimate another 38,000 remain stranded on the outer stations. Our hospital vessels cannot reach them. The Valdran Armada has closed every viable approach corridor. Sereth closed his eyes. The Cellari had not fought a war in over 4 centuries. They had disassembled their warships, repurposed their weapons foundries into centers for research and healing, and pledged their entire civilization to the preservation of life and the pursuit of knowledge. Now, that long, proud commitment felt less like wisdom and more like the most catastrophic mistake their species had ever made. "Chancellor," said Navigation Officer Yen from her post, "long-range arrays are detecting the primary Valdran strike fleet, 180 vessels with 26 command-class dreadnoughts among them. They will reach Calera Prime in 6 days." The chamber fell silent. 180 warships against a planet defended by nothing but orbital shielding that could not hold forever. The Cellari civil fleet was composed entirely of unarmed medical transports built to carry the wounded, not fight battles. "What answer did we receive from the other assembly species?" Sereth asked. "The Orthan collective cites internal conflict and cannot spare forces. The Meridian Alliance is fighting its own Valdran incursions. The Sphere of Ethon has offered to accept refugees, but cannot provide armed escort." Sereth walked to his chair and lowered himself into it. Around him, his staff waited for a decision that might save their people. But what decision remained to a leader whose people had chosen peace so thoroughly they had forgotten how to survive war? "Chancellor," Yen said carefully, "there is one further possibility. Our deep space relay arrays have been collecting signals from a system beyond the outer rim. A species we have never made contact with." "What kind of signals?" "Medical data, sir. Advanced trauma protocols, surgical procedure logs, disease response research. The transmitting species refers to itself as humans. Their origin point is a world they call Earth, approximately 49 light-years distant." Physician General Auric stepped closer to the relay station. "How advanced is this data?" "Their techniques surpass ours in several areas, particularly emergency trauma response and battlefield surgery. They appear to have extensive practical experience treating catastrophic injury." Sereth felt something stir in his chest, something that had not been there in weeks. "Can we locate the source precisely?" "Yes, sir. A single inhabited world in a small solar system, blue-green in appearance, predominantly oceanic. Their culture, their politics, their military reach." Yen reviewed her console. "The transmissions we have intercepted are focused almost entirely on medical research and what they call humanitarian aid. They reference organizations whose sole purpose appears to be the treatment of the injured in conflict zones. They appear to place extraordinary value on the preservation of life, regardless of circumstance." Auric nodded slowly. "A civilization built around healing, as ours once was, as ours still is. But will they help strangers?" Sereth asked. "We have nothing to offer except our knowledge. For centuries of medical research, Chancellor. Our protocols for cellular regeneration. Our neural repair techniques. Our treatment index for over 3,000 documented conditions." Sereth stood. The weight of every life on Calera Prime rested on what he said next. "Open a channel to deep space. Broadcast on all frequencies capable of reaching this Earth." The communication array activated with a series of gentle tones. Yen confirmed the channel was open and recording. Sereth drew a long breath and began. "This is High Chancellor Sereth of the Cellari Republic. We are transmitting this message to the species known as humans, on the planet called Earth. We have received your medical research signals. We believe you are, as we are, a people who place the preservation of life above all other values. He paused, looking once more at the images of burning orbital stations on the screen behind him. Our people are facing annihilation. The Valdran Armada has entered our territory with a fleet of 180 warships. We are a civilization without military capability. Our colonies have been struck, and hundreds of thousands of our people are wounded or trapped. Our care centers are overwhelmed. We cannot move our civilians through the Valdran blockade. We gave up warfare for centuries ago. We chose healing instead. We have no weapons. We have no fleet. In 6 days, the Valdran primary force will arrive at our home world, and everything we have ever built will end. His voice steadied as he pressed on. We appeal to you, not as diplomats seeking alliance, but as healers calling to fellow healers. We need medical assistance for our wounded. We need evacuation for our civilians. We need sanctuary for our survivors. In return, we offer our complete medical archive for centuries of surgical technique, regenerative therapy, and biological research, freely given to any people willing to stand for life. We understand what we are asking. We are asking strangers to risk themselves for people they have never met. But we have listened to your transmissions, and we believe you understand the value of every life. Our children, our scholars, our healers, facing death not for anything they have done, but simply for existing in a place another power wishes to claim. If you can help, if you have medical vessels, if you can reach us, please respond. We will transmit all coordinates. Time is short, but hope remains. This is High Chancellor Sereth of the Cellari Republic, broadcasting from Calera Prime. We are listening. The channel closed. Yen began the long process of pushing the signal toward Earth. Sereth returned to his chair. His advisors continued their desperate preparations. But for the first time in weeks, despair had loosened its grip, even slightly. Somewhere in the dark between stars, there might be someone willing to answer. The alarms through the deep space monitoring installation above Mars were not the kind that prompted a slow response. Director Vasquez was already jogging down the corridor when her deputy caught up with her, tablet in hand. What are we dealing with, Reyes? A transmission, Director. Received 42 minutes ago. Origin is confirmed non-human. 49 light-years out. Vasquez entered the primary control room and moved directly to the main display. Play it. The voice of High Chancellor Sereth filled the room. Vasquez stood without moving as the alien described his civilization, his people, and what was being done to them. When the message concluded, nobody spoke for a long time. Earth Command. Already transmitted, Director. Priority 1. They have it. Vasquez stared at the audio waveform on the screen. First contact with an alien intelligence, and it was a distress call. She was not entirely surprised. The universe, it seemed, was no different from the places humans had always lived in, full of those in need and those doing the harming. 3 hours later, the Terran Defense Council convened in emergency session beneath Geneva. Admiral Torres entered to find President Nakamura and 14 senior officials already assembled around the holographic display. The star chart showed the Cellari system highlighted in deep red. 49 light-years. Defense Secretary Okafor said immediately. How long to reach them? 6 days at maximum hyperspace velocity, Admiral Torres replied. The same window the Cellari gave before their home world falls. The room erupted. Some argued for caution, some for observation, some for nothing at all. Admiral Torres let the debate run for several minutes before she stood. With respect, she said, and the room quieted. President Nakamura gestured for her to continue. An intelligent species is facing genocide. They have asked us for medical help. We have doctors, we have ships, and we have the means to reach them. The decision is not complicated. We cannot commit our forces to an alien war, Okafor said. We know nothing about the politics behind this conflict. I know enough, Torres replied. They asked for medical help. We provide it. And when human medical personnel are treating patients in a war zone, those patients are under our protection. That is not policy. That is doctrine. Foreign Secretary Almeida leaned forward. Admiral, This could draw humanity into a galactic conflict. Good, Torres said simply. Any civilization that wages war against unarmed healers should have enemies. President Nakamura raised a hand. What exactly are you proposing, Admiral? Task Force Samaritan. 12 vessels. The carrier Asclepius as flagship, fully equipped with surgical facilities and emergency trauma centers. 11 heavy cruisers, each fitted with advanced medical bays, triage units, and refugee accommodation. Every ship staffed with doctors, surgeons, nurses, and field medics. That is a battle group, Okafor said. It is a medical mission with appropriate force protection, Torres replied. If the Valdran Armada has a problem with our physicians treating wounded civilians, they can raise that objection with our escort fleet. The room was quiet for a moment. President Nakamura spoke. Admiral Torres, you are authorized to deploy Task Force Samaritan to the Cellari Republic in a humanitarian capacity. Rules of engagement. Protect our medical personnel and their patients by whatever means necessary. Understood, Madam President. 2 hours later, Admiral Torres stood on the bridge of the Asclepius as it completed departure checks at the Lunar Defense Anchorage. Chief Medical Officer Dr. Wren approached with the final readiness report. All surgical suites confirmed operational. Medical supplies loaded. Trauma teams at full strength. Weapons status. All systems active and ready. Torres looked out at the stars. And alien people were waiting for help that might not come in time. It would come. Signal the fleet. This is a medical mission. Our purpose is to save lives and shield the innocent. We will do whatever is required to accomplish that. She turned to the navigation station. Set course for the Cellari system. Maximum hyperspace velocity. Execute. The stars stretched and dissolved into the white tunnel of hyperspace. 12 ships, carrying humanity's answer, began the journey. The space around Calera Prime shimmered as 12 massive shapes dropped out of hyperspace simultaneously, appearing in perfect defensive formation between the planet and the approaching Valdran advance fleet. The precision was remarkable for a journey undertaken in under a week. Aboard the Valdran command vessel Ruinbringer, Admiral Gavith stared at his tactical display with open contempt. 12 unknown vessels had materialized directly in his path. Each one was considerably larger than his heavy warships, and their weapon signatures were entirely unfamiliar. "Hail them," he ordered. "Find out which species is ignorant enough to obstruct a Valdran military operation." On Calera Prime, the Planetary Operations Center erupted as sensors detected the new arrivals. High Chancellor Sereth reached the main screen before anyone else. "Are those the human ships?" "Unknown, Chancellor. The energy signatures match nothing in our database, but they appeared directly in the Valdran fleet's approach corridor." Physician General Auric studied the sensor data. "Those are not medical vessels, Chancellor. Those are warships, heavily armed." Sereth felt hope begin to dissolve. Had a third military power arrived to claim what the Valdran left behind? Then an incoming transmission appeared on the communications board. Yen looked to Sereth before accepting it. "This is High Chancellor Sereth of the Cellari Republic. Please identify yourselves." The screen activated to show the bridge of the lead vessel. A human in military uniform regarded him with an expression that was serious but not threatening. When the human spoke, the voice carried the same cadence as the medical research transmissions they had intercepted for months. "Chancellor Sereth, I am Admiral Torres, Terran Defense Fleet. We received your distress signal and have come to provide medical assistance." Sereth stared at the screen. These were the healers they had contacted. But behind the Admiral, the bridge showed weapon stations, tactical displays, crew members running combat calculations. "Admiral, we expected hospital ships." Torres's expression shifted slightly. "These are hospital ships, Chancellor. They simply have very comprehensive force protection. When our medical personnel are treating patients, we ensure they can do so without interruption." Before Sereth could respond, a second signal broke through. Admiral Gavith's scarred face appeared in a split panel, his voice barely containing his rage. "Unknown vessels, this is Admiral Gavith of the Valdran Imperial Fleet. You are obstructing a lawful military operation. Withdraw at once or accept the consequences. Torres turned to face the Valdran commander, her expression cooling considerably. This is Admiral Torres, Terran Defense Fleet. You are threatening our patients. That is unacceptable. Gavith laughed. Your patients? These are Cellari civilians under Valdran conquest. They belong to the Armada now. No. They requested medical assistance. We are here to provide it. Any interference with our medical operations will be met with appropriate force. Gavith studied human ships. 12 vessels against his 40-ship advance element, with 140 more on approach. The humans were either brave or very poorly informed. You have 30 seconds to withdraw, or I will destroy every ship you have. Torres's expression did not change. You are welcome to try. The transmission ended. Torres faced Sereth again. The Chancellor shook his head slowly. Admiral, I do not understand. Your ships are warships, yet you say you are here for medicine. Let me explain something about human medical practice, Chancellor. When we treat patients, we protect them. When we protect them, we use whatever is required. Dr. Wren stepped into the frame beside Torres. She wore surgical scrubs and a military jacket simultaneously, managing to look entirely comfortable as both. Chancellor Sereth, I am Dr. Wren, Chief Medical Officer of this fleet. We have reviewed your transmitted medical data. We are ready to begin treating your wounded immediately. We have surgical suites and emergency facilities standing by, and our transport shuttles are prepared to begin evacuation. Sereth looked at the warships on the screen, at the weapons behind the doctor's shoulder. You came armed. Of course, Dr. Wren replied, as though the question surprised her. How else would we protect our patients? The Valdran have been attacking your medical centers and preventing the evacuation of civilians. That ends now. Torres stepped forward. Chancellor, we need landing coordinates and a full casualty roster. Our shuttle teams are ready to deploy. And the Valdran fleet? Sereth asked. Will not interfere, Torres said. I give you my word. On the bridge of the Ruinbringer, Admiral Gavith was receiving reports that made no sense. Sir, the human ships are simultaneously powering combat systems and launching what appear to be unarmed medical transports toward the surface. Gavith studied his tactical screen. They are conducting medical operations while preparing to fight? Yes, sir. We have intercepted their internal communications. They are coordinating both simultaneously. In 30 years of conquest, Gavith had never encountered this. Every species either defended or surrendered. None had ever done both at the same time. The concept was, he searched for the word, alien to him, which he recognized with irritation was appropriate. Open fire on the lead vessel. Show them we mean it. The Valdran flagship's main cannons discharged, sending plasma bolts toward the Asclepius. The beams struck an energy barrier that flared a brilliant blue-white and held. Admiral Torres's voice came back over the open channel, calm and measured. Admiral Gavith, you have fired on a medical vessel conducting active humanitarian operations. Under human law, this constitutes a war crime. Cease fire immediately and withdraw from this system. Or what? Gavith snarled. Or we will defend our patients with extreme prejudice. Torres turned to her bridge crew. Begin full medical deployment. All shuttles launch. Dr. Wren's teams have priority. Establish treatment centers on Calera Prime. And the Valdran fleet admiral? Torres looked at the tactical display. 40 warships moving into attack formation. They fired on a hospital ship. Captain, help them understand why that was a mistake. The battle that followed was not the massacre the Valdran had anticipated. Human weapons were precise in a way that Valdran crews had never experienced in battle. Cannon emplacements were disabled without hull breaches. Engines were crippled without crew casualties. Valdran ships were neutralized methodically, as though the humans were not fighting a battle but performing surgery on a fleet. And the entire time, medical shuttles continued ferrying wounded Cellari civilians to the Asclepius. On the surface, Lieutenant Commander Ferris guided her shuttle through the scorched streets of the capital. Behind her, Human medics worked to stabilize critically injured Cellari civilians for transport. Command, this is Shuttle 9. 21 critical cases loaded and ready for extraction. Requesting clearance to return to the Asclepius. Clearance granted, Shuttle 9. Be advised, enemy interceptors are approaching your position. Ferris looked up. 6 Valdran fighter craft were diving toward the city. The shuttle was an obvious target. Negative, Command. I am not leaving these patients. Requesting immediate air cover. 2 human interceptors appeared from above the cloud layer and tore through the Valdran fighters in under 10 seconds. The wreckage fell wide of any structures. Shuttle 9, this is Rook Leader. You are clear. Get your patients home. Ferris lifted off with 21 lives aboard. The humans, it turned out, had been entirely serious about protecting their patients. In orbit, the first phase of the battle concluded. 34 Valdran ships had been disabled. Not one had been destroyed outright. Human recovery teams were already working to pull Valdran crew members from the drifting hulks. On the Ruinbringer, Gavith stared at his tactical display. Half his advance fleet had been neutralized. The human ships had sustained no meaningful damage. And the humans were pulling his people out of the wreckage. Incoming transmission from the human flagship. Torres appeared on screen, as composed as if they were speaking at a diplomatic reception. Admiral Gavith, your forces have fired on medical personnel and threatened a civilian population. This makes you a war criminal under human law. We are nevertheless prepared to accept your withdrawal. The Valdran Armada does not retreat before unknown species. Then you have chosen poorly. Torres turned to her crew. All ships, full combat protocol. The change was immediate. Where the human fleet had been precise, now it was devastating. Valdran vessels that had held their own under the measured assault began failing rapidly. Hulls gave way. Command ships went dark. In 12 minutes, Gavith's advance fleet was gone. General withdrawal, Gavith said, his voice hollow. Full retreat. The surviving Valdran ships fled at maximum drive output, carrying news that would travel fast. The primary Valdran strike fleet dropped out of hyperspace expecting to find a defenseless world ripe for conquest. Instead, they found 12 human warships in precise defensive formation around the planet, with medical shuttles moving in constant rotation between orbit and the surface below. Emperor Valdrek himself had come aboard the Command Dreadnought Obliterator to witness the final absorption of the Cellari Republic. He had conquered 60 systems in his lifetime. He was not accustomed to surprises. Where is Admiral Gavith? Where is my advance fleet? Sir, we are detecting debris from approximately 34 Valdran vessels. The advance fleet has been destroyed. By 12 ships. Yes, sir. The alien vessels are broadcasting on humanitarian frequencies. They claim to be conducting medical operations. Valdrek had no framework for this. He opened a channel. Admiral Torres appeared on the screen with the same composure she had maintained through the previous engagement. I am Emperor Valdrek of the Valdran Armada. You have obstructed Imperial expansion and destroyed Imperial vessels. Surrender now or face total annihilation. Emperor Valdrek, this is Admiral Torres of the Terran Defense Fleet. We are conducting humanitarian medical operations under military protection. Any assault on our facilities will be treated as an act of war against humanity. Valdrek looked at the tactical display. 140 ships, including 12 super dreadnoughts. It was the most powerful fleet he had ever assembled. I have never heard of humanity. You command 12 vessels against 140. You cannot genuinely believe this ends well for you. We are not here to end anything, Emperor. We are here to protect our patients. If you attack our medical facilities, you will discover why that is inadvisable. Valdrek cut the channel and turned to his fleet commanders. Full assault. Destroy them and take the planet. His Admiral of Fleet Serrun paused. Emperor, if 12 ships could destroy the advance fleet. Luck, Valdrek said. No species resists the full armada. Move. The fleet went to war. What followed was documented in every subsequent galactic history as the engagement that changed the known balance of power. The humans fought in a way that no tactical model had predicted. Their coordination was perfect across 12 vessels. Their weapons were more advanced than anything the Valdren had encountered in 60 years of conquest. They targeted command infrastructure first, weapons platforms second, and always left escape routes for surviving crew. And through the entire battle, their medical operations did not stop. Shuttles continued descending to the surface. Human doctors continued treating the wounded. Human recovery teams continued pulling Valdren crew members from broken ships. It was, observers would later write, less like a battle and more like watching a skilled surgeon remove a tumor. Methodical, decisive, precise, and somehow, without losing any of its lethality, compassionate. Emperor Valdrek watched 80 of his ships go dark before he found the word he had been searching for the entire engagement. General withdrawal. All remaining vessels, retreat to the outer rim. The Valdren Armada, which had appeared unstoppable for a generation, fled from 12 ships belonging to a species they had not known existed 48 hours ago. 6 months later, High Chancellor Sareth stood before the Galactic Assembly on the neutral station of Convergence Point. Representatives from 41 known species occupied the tiered chambers in silence as he delivered his account of the events at Calera Prime. The humans did not arrive as conquerors, Sareth said. They arrived as healers, with the weapons to ensure their healing could not be interrupted. They showed us something we had long believed to be impossible. That the commitment to preserve life and the will to defend it are not contradictions. They are the same thing, held by the same hand. He paused, reviewing his notes. In the months since their arrival, the humans have constructed the most advanced medical network this sector has ever known. They have treated our wounded, and they have treated the prisoners of the Valdren fleet. Every patient who could be saved was saved, regardless of which side they had fought on. Ambassador Threll of the Sphere of Ethon raised a question. What are the humans' intentions? Do they plan to establish permanent military presence in your territory? They have established what they call a medical protection zone around our system. Any species may bring patients for treatment. Any species that threatens the facility will face the human fleet. The terms are simple and they have not wavered from them. The chamber erupted. Several delegates expressed concern over what human military capability might mean for the broader galactic balance. Others had begun, quietly, to ask how one requested similar protection. Dr. Wren entered the chamber in the combination of surgical scrubs and military insignia that had become recognized throughout the sector as the symbol of the human medical corps. The room settled. Distinguished representatives, Dr. Wren began, I want to clarify a point about human medical doctrine, because it seems to have caused some confusion. She looked across the assembled delegates. When we treat patients, we protect them. When we protect them, we use whatever force is required. This is not a stance we debate. It is not conditional. Any species that requests medical assistance from humanity will receive it, along with whatever protection is necessary to ensure our doctors can do their work. Representative Ashen of the Meridian Alliance spoke carefully. And if an aggressive power objects to the presence of human medical operations in a contested region? Dr. Wren's answer was delivered with a mild smile that somehow carried more weight than anything else said in the chamber that day. Then they are welcome to raise that objection with Admiral Torres. The session continued for several hours. But the essential matter had been settled in that one exchange, and everyone in the room understood it. Humanity had arrived. And humanity, it turned out, was exactly what it had always transmitted itself to be. Healers who fought and fighters who healed, and a species that had decided, somewhere in its long and complicated history, that those two things were simply two names for the same promise.